She used to be an actress.
She ever do anything out of scene?
I think the biggest deal was she starred in a pilot.
What's a pilot?
Well, you know the show's on TV?
I don't watch TV.
Yes, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on that invention they show shows?
Yeah.
Well, the way they pick the shows on TV is they make one show, and that show's called a pilot. And they show that one show to the people who pick shows, and on the strength of that one show, they decide if they want to make more shows. Some get accepted and become TV programs, and some become nothing. She starred in one of the ones that became nothing. Hold on a second. Finally from New York. It's Saturday night. Ah, yes. Welcome to Couch Pilots, all of my friends. It's the show that dares to fly into the unknown territory of awful television pilots of the past. We've got a great show for you tonight. Captain Philip Ressishire is here, so stick around and we'll be right back. Hold on, this is supposed to keep playing. Okay. That's supposed to be like the intro a little bit.
Oh, okay.
To the show. I don't think it went very well. That's all right.
I knew what you were trying to do. Does that help?
Yeah, it helps a little bit, I guess. Oh, come on. Come on. Well, welcome, I guess. This is, I feel out of sorts, I think, because this is a season of Couch Pilots unlike anything we've ever done before.
Sure, this is season 22, episode 1, and it's the Pilot's Challenge season.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the Pilot's Challenge. It's you, v, me. And V, of course, is short for versus. Versus is VERSUS. And a lot of times you see it abbreviated to VS.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you just see it abbreviated to V.
Like,
how much less can we get? VS is good?
Yeah, VS is fine.
VS is good.
That means maybe if it's just a V if only two people are against each other. Maybe it's VS if there's more than two or more people on a side.
That makes sense. It's 10 episode seasons here at Couch Pilots. We talk about TV shows that only had one episode, TV shows that didn't make it past episode numero uno, except this 10 episode season is going to be a little different.
Yeah, we each picked 5, and last week we had the picks.
But not even just 5 shows that had only one episode. We picked 5 television series that went the distance. Some, in fact, are still going, and ones that are successful and that you and I really enjoy.
Yeah, I thought it would be something change up something a little different.
A little different. Try to get those ratings back up. How do you? Okay. So today we're going to do a little something. We'll get into the show later. The format of the program will be essentially the same. There are a few little tweaks because a lot of the things we do gear us towards the fact that there's one and done, but that's not the case now. So I think
we're keeping ourselves on our toes.
We're trying to. We don't want to fall asleep at the wheel.
We don't want to get in a rut.
Yeah, we don't want to have highway hypnosis.
Yeah, when you're flying a plane and you hit a rut,
bad times, baby.
It's turbulence.
What? Well, let's do our patented banter up front.
Oh, the patented banter?
The people who love banter, they clamor for it. And I guess I have to ask, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, it's 2 days before Christmas.
I love Christmas.
All the jingles are belled already. All the missiles are towed.
What are you expecting for Christmas?
Well, I kind of already got my Christmas present, but I know the way my wife is, I say, let's not get each other anything for Christmas.
Right.
And then she gets a bunch of stuff, and then I have to figure out how to get her something.
You're talking, of course, about Molly's newfound interest in the sex toy program pyramid scheme known as Pure Romance. So your present came in the form of something you can put yourself into or have put into you?
No, my trip to Reno is my present.
Oh,
it's my
that's different.
Christmas present, birthday present, probably Father's Day present.
And that'll be in June where you go and you play in, is it the world's largest bowling alley?
It's the largest in North America.
And how many lanes is that? Can I get? Let me guess.
Okay.
200,000 lanes.
Very close. 78.
That seems pretty big.
Yeah.
That seems pretty fun.
The only one bigger is in Japan. It's 138 lanes.
I used to go to Town and Country Bowl.
Yeah.
I took a bowling class there, oddly enough. That's true, in college at ICC. And you go in, and there's bowling lanes on each side, and like a thing in the middle where it's, where you get the shoes and the food is there. Everything happens in the middle. I like that stuff.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really cool
I don't think
stuff.
I've ever seen one. I've never been in one that had it on both sides. I mean, I was there when I was little because my mom used, but I don't remember it.
What is this one like? I'm sure you've seen pictures of this Janet Reno setup of 78 lanes. What format? I would love to see one completely circular.
That would be cool, but no, these are all just on one side.
Okay.
The ceiling is, it's like a convention center, and the ceilings are like 45 foot tall.
Is it like an atrium? Are there a lot of fake plants everywhere?
There's like stadium seating in part of it, and then like a event center above it, and like the screens for it are humongous. Like on each lane, the screens are huge.
Are you so pumped?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Who are your teammates?
I don't know yet.
Oh,
well, I know like Bill Henry. I know I'm bowling with him.
Now, no offense to Bill Henry. I don't think I've ever met the man. Have I?
No.
Okay. It's a pretty lame name. Okay.
It's William.
Well, Blake Clayton, ho hum, whatever. What you need to jazz it up, I think. If you're going to go to a big bowling tournament in the biggest little city in the world, you have to have a Blake apostrophe nickname Clayton. What would that nickname be?
It's the Reverend.
The Reverend. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Would you wear a fake
No
collar?
I'm actually thinking about not doing them anymore because when I do them and they're in the app, my Sunday,
Sunday fun day,
my Sunday bowling prayers I do on Facebook. When they're prayer oriented, I seem to bowl really bad.
Oh, so you think God is smiting you?
I think so.
Well, what if you make them genuine and put a little?
No, a lot of them they're not blasphemous at all.
Then why would God smite you?
Your guess is as good as mine. You mean read the one I just wrote for this son?
Well, while you're pulling that up, let me say maybe you can add an element of religiousness to it.
I don't know how much more religiousness I can get.
Maybe you say I love God in it.
All right, well, I'll read you. Today is bowling day. As we gather around the ball return, let us join hands and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another Sunday morning of bowling. We ask that you watch over us and protect us, mostly our elbows, ankles, knees, and shoulders. We ask that you keep that 10-pin where it belongs, laying on its side. We thank you for this temple called Sunset Lanes, where we come as a congregation and its staff. We also ask that you keep us calm at the line, for we are all grateful for you and for this game. In your name we pray. Amen.
To me, there's nothing wrong with what you just said.
No, I don't think so either. But I think it's just bad luck. I think if I need to go back to just the silly stuff that doesn't actually like have a biblical.
Are you a superstitious man?
Yes.
What do you have like proof in your life that something you've done in the past where you stopped doing it and things got better, or you started doing something and things got better?
Nope, not at all.
Okay. A lot of athletes, and I use the term lightly, have superstitions.
Sure.
Right? So that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. That's all the way in June. We're 6 months out from that.
Sure, but you got to prepare.
You have to prepare.
I got my hotel room. I got my plane booked.
Are you going to fly your own plane?
No, I got to be focused on the match, so I really didn't want to worry about gassing the plane up. And
People probably rolling their eyes. You sit down in a plane. You push a bunch of 2,000 levers, body parts. It's like riding in a car a long distance. For some reason, you get out, you're worn out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing with flying a plane, folks. He's got to be fresh. It's real smart not you not flying that plane.
Thank you very much.
I'm excited for you. I am also going on a trip.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to Florida. Disney World?
No, I'm going to Universal Studios.
That's where Eli was. I think he left today.
Yeah. Well,
when we're recording this.
That sounds wonderful.
He's in Universal Studios and then Walt Disney World all week.
Wow, that's expensive.
I guess his dad can afford it.
Good on him. I have my girlfriend her parents live down there for half the year.
Okay.
And
they're snow bunnies. Snowbirds.
Snowbirds, correct. And her cousins also have a house in this little like kind of kitschy 1950s park. It's got trailers in it, but it's also got little homes, and it's right on the water. So we're going to fly down to Orlando, and we'll go down with my daughter. I'm going to meet my girlfriend, who's going to be working at the Orange Bowl like she did last year. And then she's going to fly up from Miami to Orlando and meet us. A few days in Orlando going to Universal. And then we're going to drive over to the Bradenton area, which is on the waterfront. And we're going to stay with her family, or our own house, and then hang out 3 days in the Bradenton area and fly back.
Wow. That sounds like it's going to be a good time.
I have not been on a trip like that at the time it happens in over 6 years.
Wow.
So I don't go on vacations
It's time.
like that.
It's time for you to relax. Maybe it'll sharpen up your skills on the podcast and stuff. And
Huh?
No, that's cool.
That's fine.
Do you worry though that something bad's going to happen between you and her from the time then to now? I mean, from now till the time you go on that trip.
Bad things are always happening, but that's fine. I thought you were going to say like on the trip would we get
No.
Because we went on a trip to Chicago for 3 days to see Riot Fest, and it was great.
Okay,
no problems at all. I don't know. I was just. What about you? Anything else going on with you?
No, I'm just gearing up for. Not really.
Nothing else going on with you?
No, I don't know what to get Molly for Christmas. I bought her a bowling ball for her birthday. I don't think she's very happy.
I think literally The Simpsons did an episode of that, right? Where Homer bought Marge a bowling ball that was very clearly for him. Right? I'm not sure what's so funny. I mean, I love The Simpsons as much as the next guy, but, it's... What are you laughing at over there?
Well, it seems as though you're doing a little visual shtick here for the listeners. But you're asking me what I'm doing, and you have old wrestling magazines that you decided to read while I started talking.
Oh, these magazines. Yeah, these. I have old wrestling magazines here. I didn't mean to be rude. I didn't think you could see what I was doing. No, I was at a sale recently, and I came across some old wrestling magazines.
Oh, that's cool. That's the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh yeah,
that was an expensive magazine. When the WWF magazine came out, it was kind of expensive.
Look at that Mountain Dew advertisement.
Oh, I like that. I'll miss that can.
I don't know how much.
Slam down
here it
a
is.
Dew.
$2.50 for this.
Yeah, to me, it seemed like a lot.
It was when you were a kid. These are from like 1989, 1990. It's got the Big Boss Man. It's got WrestleMania 6 results. All the results and pictures. This is when the Ultimate Warrior unified the Intercontinental and Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, well, if he says to do it, he does it, right?
And then he died.
Well, R.I.P. His wife is still, what do you want to do with him?
I want you to look at him.
While you're talking?
Sure, why not?
Couldn't we have done this while we were waiting for your computer to work?
Oh, it was show content. I bought like it was $4, and I got like 6-7 magazines, including like old programs from live shows and stuff.
Yeah, this is like a program.
Yeah, there's one that very clearly says program. Is that one said program on it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, that's the one. And it's got like old like title cards and shit of matches. It's pretty cool. I love all the old advertisements and stuff in there.
Oh, that's cool. It's definitely cool.
I thought you might enjoy it.
That's back when you could buy a T-shirt for $11.95.
There are original Nintendo Entertainment System games for sale in there, and they would go up to $60. And these are these shitty little 2-button games, $60 for a cartridge. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, I'll give you a second to peruse that while I think we're going to have to move it along. What do you think?
Sure.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captains have turned on the fasten seatbelt sign.
You can hear Velma's tail. She can hear us talking, and she keeps wagging her tail.
Velma, the giant dog, in a mid-sized house. Let's call our friend Scott Elam.
Sure.
He's a guy that we love. He goes also by the moniker Big E, and he's got his own podcast. You remember that?
Yep, Karaoke Big E.
What do you think about that?
I think they just hit 100 episodes about a month or so ago.
I love that show, and I love that they've been doing it this long. Let's see if he answers the phone. Hopefully he does.
He's usually asleep by now.
Yeah, he's early to bed, early to rise.
It's not what his wife said.
Oh, snap.
Hello.
Hey, Scott. This is Jason and Blake from the Couch Pilots program. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. Well, hold on a second now. Are you really good?
Dylan? Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Christy and Dylan said, hey.
Hey, wait, turn up the volume? It's up as high as it can go. Are I wanted to ask you because we're on a text chain and you had mentioned something today about I don't know. I guess the word is debacle.
Yeah.
So what happened here?
Yeah.
What happened? You're looking at pornography on your phone and then take it from there.
No, absolutely not. What happened was, what had happened was I was sitting here playing Call of Duty yesterday.
Hold on a second. Put your dog on the phone.
Yeah, that's why I'm going downstairs.
You're playing the new Call of Duty game?
Sitting here playing Call of Duty. Yeah, playing the new Call of Duty.
All right.
And I got on my phone and checked my emails as you do. And I had an email from Apple stating that somebody had used my Apple ID to purchase Tinder Pro in California or something.
Now that I will say that not only is it a good app, but if you're going to do it right and get Pro.
Yeah. So it looked like a legitimate Apple email.
Okay. Well, why did it look like that? Was the spacing? Was it double spaced?
Font.
It was just. It had the Apple logo on it. It looked like it came from Apple.
Okay.
So I clicked on it to stop it or whatever, and it didn't take me to Apple or anything. So I went to the internet and I typed in Apple Care's phone number, right?
Okay.
So I get the phone number and I call, and all I'm thinking in my head is that my account has been compromised and somebody's got access to my money.
So you call the number that Google says is the Apple Care number.
Yes. So I call this number, right? And I'm on the phone with this guy. And for one, I don't know what I was thinking because I've never called Apple and not talking to an American.
So is it an Indian fella?
Yes.
Oh, that's weird.
The first red flag was it wasn't an American.
There's a billion of them, Scott.
Yeah. So then I'm on the phone with him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can fix this," and I see that all these people, 6 different people, have access to your Apple account.
What are you thinking at this point? There's an Indian fella. You're not expecting that. You've whitewashed over that, no pun intended.
Right.
And you're
at this point.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm fucked, right?
So they've got you. They've already got you hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, this guy's got me by. If I had ponytails, he's got a hold of both of them.
Oh my God! Just riding you like a bicycle.
Yeah, and he's got me fully convinced that this guy, and one particular person, has his bank account attached to my stuff.
Now, I think usually when you get an email like that, you see on the email, click this link to contact us. But you found the number separately.
I didn't even click that.
But do you think the phone number that you called and the email are related, or do you think this guy just by happenstance got you to call him and is unrelated to the email?
I honestly think what happened is that I think I searched for Apple Care's number through Safari after I had already clicked on that email. So I'm thinking the two had to be correlated.
Okay. So the guy's on the phone. He's like, there's 6 people using your account. They've got all your money. And what does he say next?
Let's go to your Apple ID and put a card on there. Or do you have a card on your Apple ID? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't have my debit card on there. So at this point, he tells me to download this thing from the App Store, which gives him remote access to my phone. Yeah, now he can't do anything, but he can see everything I'm doing, right?
Okay.
So he's got remote access to my phone. He can see what I'm doing. So he goes, well, put your debit card in there. So I put my debit card in my Apple, saying, well, it's got to be verified, right? Well, it's a Sunday. It's not going to get verified on a Sunday, so I delete that card off there. So this guy proceeds to tell me, and this, I don't know what I was thinking. All I could tell you was that I contacted them, so that's why I felt like it was real.
I do get that part of it. If you put in Apple Care, do you think a fake number is going to pop up? No. The Indian voice is
No.
off-putting, but if you're not typing in scam 1-800 number, you're looking for Apple. Why would
No,
a fake number come
Apple.
up?
Exactly. So I'm thinking I'm talking to Apple. So the next thing I know, this guy's telling me I need to go to the grocery store and buy eBay gift cards.
eBay.
Because
I've never heard of an eBay gift card.
Right. Well, I got to Kroger, they didn't have eBay gift cards. He goes, well, what do they have? I said, well, they have these. They have Visa, and he goes, well, do they have any iTunes cards, open-ended iTunes cards? I'm like, yeah, they have these ones that are from $25 to $200.
What is he telling you
like-
that these are going to do?
He's telling me that having these will gain them access to the hacker, and they can block them.
Okay, so it really is as simple as them just telling you exactly that, and you not knowing anything about technology. And I'm in the same boat as you. I wouldn't know either.
Right.
But you just saying whatever they're telling me.
The funny thing is that I'm usually pretty hip to these things. You know, you see shit come through your email all the time. You get the phone calls. You kind of are hip to it. But when you're the one making the phone call, like you said, I went out of my way to find Apple Care on the internet. That's why I thought I was talking to legit people. Now I'm in a tailspin, okay? So I'm thinking this guy is going to clear my bank account within an hour. You know, this guy that was this main hacker. So I purchase two $200 gift cards.
And in reality, you are not in trouble whatsoever. There's nothing wrong.
In reality, nothing has happened.
Okay.
This is all phishing. This is all a scam.
Can I ask a question?
So yeah.
Wouldn't your first instinct be to call the bank and like put all your cards and stuff, like put a lock on all your cards real quick?
Yeah, I didn't think. All I was thinking was I need to call Apple,
Right,
and have them take this charge off if it was legit. That's all I really wanted to happen. Was, hey, that wasn't me. I didn't charge $20. That's all I was looking for.
So you purchase $400 worth of stuff. You give them the information, and then
I scratch the cards off. I mean, they have these standing in Kroger's parking lot for 5 minutes just so they can give themselves enough time to do what they need to do, right? I go, okay, well, good news is that got rid of 2 hackers. I need you to go buy. Yes, I need you to go back in there and buy 2 more at $100 a piece, and we'll get rid of these other 2 hackers. So I go in there, buy them, scratch them off, give him the information. He's like, okay, good, those 2 are off there. I'm going to escalate this to my supervisor because there's 3 more that I can't get off of here.
Now, are they telling you at some point all this money? Is this just lost money, and you're like, this is what you have to do to get rid of them? Hold on, are they telling you that you're going to get the money back at some point?
Absolutely, I will 100% get refunded. They're telling me this. Christy didn't come with me. She wanted to, but I went off on myself. So I'm sitting there, and then it's getting to the point where I'm not coming home, and she's texting me. She goes, what are these charges? So finally, she comes and hunts me down at Kroger. So I'm on the phone with this guy's supervisor, and he's telling me I need to go get these eBay gift cards because Kroger didn't have them. So
can you imagine the only way to combat online hackers is eBay gift cards?
Right.
There's some major glitch
I
in the
wasn't
system if
thinking-
that's the only way to defeat a hacker, right?
That's exactly. So Christy and Dylan both are going. Christy and Dylan are both going. You are getting scammed. You need to stop. Stop.
Did your boy say scammed, or did he say, Dad, you're getting fucked?
I think he said you're getting scammed.
Okay.
And then he also, there was another thing. Okay, so there's this one website they sent me to on Safari called geektyper.com. Well, they kept diverting me from looking at the first search part of it, because when you type it up, it says geektyper.com hacking simulator, okay? They're not wanting me to look at that. They're like, click on that second link. So I click on the second link, and they're like, "Do you see this? What's going on? These is everybody that's got access to your account. Do you know somebody in Ohio?" And I'm like, "No, not all this shit."
That's unreal.
So so at the end of the day, we all hop in my truck. We run to Dollar General. The whole time I'm on the phone with this guy. Christy's giving him the business. He starts getting rude.
So at this point, you're like, I think it's a scam, and Christy's like, this is absolutely a scam, and now she's yelling at him on the phone on your way to what's that Dollar General waiting for you? More eBay cards?
The eBay cards. So I go and get 3 eBay cards at Dollar General. And Christy and Dylan are both like, "Dad, don't do it. Don't do it. This is a scam. This is a scam."
So Christy's telling you this is a scam, but at this point, you're still 100% in on this.
Yes, because I called them. That was my biggest thing.
Yeah.
I called them.
Yeah.
So Christy calls them. She goes, "Let me speak to an American." They wouldn't let her speak to an American. And then after I got those 3 cards, it only got through 2 cards before the 3rd card. It wouldn't let them ring up the 3rd card because Dollar General has something in their security that knows that this is a fraud.
Wow.
So Dollar General security stopped it. The ladies at Dollar General are telling me no. And the young man that was in there said it just happened to his uncle. So finally I come out of the fog, and I'm like, "You guys are right. Why would Apple ever send me anywhere to buy gift cards?"
My guess is that any given time, there are a few hundred people in this country running around buying gift cards for this very same reason.
It happens every day.
This is the same theory I have about online dating and like guys sending a bunch of dick pics.
Yeah.
It's working. It's working for a percentage of those people. Some of those guys who are taking shots of their cocks and sending them overlays, some of those guys are getting their dicks sucked, just like some of these Indians are getting some of Scott's hard-earned welding money.
Uh-huh.
Wow,
So,
unbelievable.
long story short, I get home, I hang up with them, they try to call me back 3 or 4 times. I said, "I know what's going on, I'm done." I get my money back for the 3 cards at Dollar General.
Yeah.
That's money. I get home. I call Apple. The legit Apple.
Well, what's different this time? How did you find this number versus the first one?
When I dial the number, this time, when you dial, so you got an iPhone just like I have an iPhone. When you go and look up that number and then go to dial it, it tells you, especially from the internet, it says verified Apple number.
Okay.
Okay, and so now everything's falling into place because when I call Apple, it tells me it's Apple. I didn't hear this part when I called the fucking scammers. I didn't hear nobody mention Apple. I'm talking to a legit person. It's verified through my phone. They escalate it. I'm on the phone for an hour and a half with Apple. The manager gives me 400 of my 600 back.
Yeah.
So once they figured out what was going on, they spent the 200, the last 2 ones that they got from me, they spent them as quickly as possible.
So are you bankrupt now?
No.
Can I buy your house on pennies on the dollar?
Yeah. We're selling it for $200, but
we got to take it for $200, which isn't the worst thing I've ever heard, but it's not great.
No, a lady just last week, same scam, got taken for $11,000.
Yeah, I believe it. How many fucking places does she have to go? She probably cleared out the whole Tri-County area worth of gift cards.
Target ended up stopping her. She ended up at Target.
All right, lady. 10,000 gift cards worth of gift cards, that's fine, but 11,000, that's where we draw the line.
Yeah, so the cops had to come here, I had to make a police report. He says, and then I talked to SEFQ today. SEFQ's shutting down my debit card. It was like, really what it was a fear of losing all your money.
Yeah.
So after it's all said and done, then I start retracing my steps. I call the number again.
You called the original Apple number again.
Yes, I called the hacker number again.
Okay.
No mention of it being Apple. But I was already in that state of mind where somebody hacked my account. So I wasn't even paying attention.
So
then
they get you because of this panic that envelopes you, and then you're in this kind of surrealistic, dreamlike state where you're just searching out there for someone to help you, and that person is actually putting their penis in your butthole.
Yeah, this was like a movie. It was like a fucking movie. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're a smart guy, and I'm sorry they took you for it, and I know you're better off on the other side here, and I'm sorry they got $200 from you, but it could have been a lot worse, and I appreciate you sharing the story with us.
Could have been $11,000 like the other lady.
Yeah. All right. Well, any
for my wife but for the wife and my wife, my child, and the people at Dollar General, I would have been.
I always say that. I always say the good people at Dollar General, and they'll come through for you every time. Scott, do you have a plug or any kind of message you'd like to give out before we let you go?
Check out Karaoke Big E. You can download that anywhere. We're going to be getting back in the saddle on the 16th and record some Christmas episodes. We haven't been in the studio since the 100th episode. So,
and if you want to contact Karaoke Big E, they do not have an online phone number. Do not call anything you find online related to them. It's a scam, right?
It's a scam.
All right, I agree. Listen to Karaoke Big E. That's a fantastic show.
That's what you should do. Maybe when me and Kevin record, one of us will call that number and see if we can't give them some shit.
I think there is this is my suggestion to you. There's an app you can download that'll give you like a fake number from your phone. Call it through that app, so it's a different number than your phone number. But if you're gonna do that, I think that'd be great. I can't wait to hear that episode.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Just guys, check out Karaoke Big E. And remember, you can't be a star if you don't shine.
I love you, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Peace. Mwah.
Holy cow.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
Holy guacamole, that
Hard
guy.
times. I didn't really quite understand the whole, like, how did this happen? But, and again, it's they instantly instill fear in you quickly. They move quickly. They don't give you time to process.
Right.
It's kind of like a stripper. You know, she's gonna talk.
It's exactly like
talk fast, makes things happen. You know, sign up for that pole dance or chair dance or whatever.
Do you think it's fear though with a stripper? Because I found that if a stripper takes off their bra, all of a sudden you're mesmerized by their breasts.
Okay, well,
it's sexual. You're being mesmerized by breast versus mesmerized by fear.
Right, but I'm just saying that the process is the same. Is to move quickly, talk quickly.
Yep.
You know, make you take action, make you not be able to go.
No time to think.
Right.
Boom. Strike while the iron's hot. Get that money and get the fuck out the door.
Man.
That's crazy.
And to think that his wife had to lay down with him that night and not look over him and go, "You turkey butt. You're a turkey butt."
A real big fat turkey. But today we discussed the pilot episode of Saturday Night Live from the year of our Lord, 1900, add 75. And I'll tell you right now, that was a great year.
1975 was a kick-ass year because I was born in 1975.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I was -6, so all of the math there lines up with what we know. Oh, boy. 1975. Boy, 25 years before the turn of the century. Blake Clayton is born. Other things happened that year. We can't think about... We have to go back in the mind frame of when the show was released, just like any other seasons we've done.
Right, yeah, we still have to do that.
Still have to do it, guys. So we have to go back to 1975...
In our minds.
And to do so, we talk about some things that happened that year, some highlights of 1975, including December 10th, Terry Funk beats Jack Briscoe in Miami Beach to become the NWA champion. That's professional wrestling.
Yeah.
NWA was by Northwest Association?
Yeah, something like that.
Or Northern Wrestling or something?
North Wrestling Alliance?
Oh, probably so, yeah. That was weird. Isn't that a weird time? Because we used to have the ABA, right? The American Basketball Association,
right.
And then you had the NBA, and then they unified.
Right.
Kind of like wrestling had all these little territories.
Yeah, it was very territorial.
Yeah. Do you remember a time of territories in wrestling?
No, I was too
It was before
little.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, those guys, what are they doing? Are they shooting each other up in the ass with steroids and?
I don't think at this time. I don't think in 1975 the steroids. I mean, they were just big fat guys rolling around and cutting promos. You know what I mean?
But there is some debauchery here, right?
Sure, they're on the road all the time.
Speed, coke.
They're doing speed. They're doing coke. Definitely, just to to get through the pain and stay awake to drive to the next town. Yeah, for sure. But enhance their physique. I don't think that they're doing anything at this time.
I remember back
There was
in the
no
80s.
Alex Rodriguez at this time.
Yeah, you remember in the 80s the tag team wrestling combination known as the Natural Disasters?
Uh-huh.
Who's that?
I don't remember who was.
I think it was Earthquake, right?
Yeah,
And maybe Typhoon.
yeah, something like that.
So these two guys are the fattest motherfuckers you've ever seen. It looks like they went bald at 19, and then someone dipped their head in a can of Crisco, and then they went out wrestling.
Yeah.
So these guys have no physical fitness whatsoever.
No.
And that's how I think about early days
Sure.
of wrestling. Just
Yeah.
these big fat fucks rolling around.
Right.
Anyway.
Characters.
Yeah, hey, USA. Characters welcome. December 12th, Sarah Jane Moore pleads guilty to trying to kill U.S. President Gerald Ford.
You tried to shoot him, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
He took over. He was never elected, right, as president.
No, he took over for Nixon, right?
Yep, Nixon.
Nixon.
That's right. He took over for Nixon and only did one. I can't remember if it was a thing where I don't think he ran again.
No, I think he just finished out that term.
Do you think you would, if you were the man with the job that's more important than any other job in the world, especially at that time, Gerald Ford has that job. Do you think you want to run again, or is your party, do you think, forcing you out?
Your party's forcing you out. They were even making jokes on the first episode of Saturday Night Live about how dumb he was.
Oh, did
Yeah.
they? I think I may have missed that.
No, they were talking about how dumb he was, and on Weekend Update, and I think, he obviously was chosen to be the runner with the president Nixon for a reason. But then they were like,
It's so rare that the vice president
Right.
has to become.
Yeah, so
and if they're any good at all, maybe they'll run. But if they're a dud, they
Right.
won't. Who would have thought that Nixon would get caught in this Watergate scandal?
Sure. I mean, everybody goes to water parks.
I love a good water park.
You just feel bad that somebody gets busted for peeing in the pool.
Mm-hmm. That's really what it was. I think it was the dawn of those tablets they put in the pool to where you pee and it shows
Turns purple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Here's my favorite Gerald Ford thing that I can think of. You ready for this?
Sure.
All right. This is from The Simpsons.
Hi. Pleased to meet you. I just moved in. My name is Jerry Ford.
Former President Gerald Ford? Put it there. I'm Homer Simpson.
Say, Homer, do you like football?
Do I ever?
Do you like nachos?
Yes, Mr. Ford.
Well, why don't you come over and watch the game and we'll have nachos and then some beer.
Ooh. Jerry, I think you and I are going to get along just fine. Oh!
Yeah, you remember that episode?
No.
George Bush Sr. moved across the street, and then it's one of those things where it's a great thing about cartoons is that anything can change at any time. So all of a sudden, across the street there's a massive mansion from the Simpsons house. Bush moves in. It becomes a Mr. Wilson and Dennis relationship with President Bush and Bart. They eventually get Bush out of there. He's scared. It's too much trouble to live across the street from the Simpsons. And Gerald Ford moves in. And it turns out that him and him and Homer get along swimmingly. Nice. Anyway, that was always my favorite thing. Anyway, let's see here. December 13th, it's the first time Saturday Night Live, oddly enough, uses a time delay. Richard Pryor host. Probably a pretty good time to have a delay.
It's a pretty good time to get that invention in the works.
Hell yeah. Saturday Night Live always says we're live.
Right.
We're live to tape. But sometimes someone says fuck.
Sure.
On live TV. And to me, Richard Pryor is one of those he's a dirty comic, right?
Yeah.
He's a pretty dirty comic, so I would say that he's probably a good contender to have that delay in case something slips out that was not supposed to.
Sure, there's a person with that button, their finger on that button the whole time.
Oh, absolutely. So I don't know about you, but I am safely and securely back in 1975.
Remember it like I was a little baby. I love it.
Why do we choose to watch Saturday Night Live?
Well, there's 3 simple criteria. Mm-hmm. 1,
yeah,
it had to be a television show that ran for more than 1 episode. 2, we had to find it on the internet.
Uh-huh.
And number 3, it had to be free.
Okay. You pulled it out of your ass. I'm glad you did it. I think basically what you did is you took all the ones that we usually have, made it the opposite, if that works, and left it the same if it still works.
Right.
Okay. So it wasn't as complicated as I thought. So you probably ask yourself, where can you find the entire episode of the pilot for Saturday Night Live? We can do so by subscribing to Couch Pilots in SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app of choice, and then simply click on one of our classically blue links in our show notes, or go to Hulu. And you know what to do, Lou? That can't be right. You know what to do, Lou?
That's a tribe in India.
Oh, Dulu Nation.
Yeah.
Rock into the perfect beat.
And also in this season, we will not have blue links. And we'll only have blue links to ones that are available through a blue link.
This one, I would say this qualifies still for free, because if you don't already have Hulu, you can get a free month subscription.
Sure, just call Scotty and ask him to get a Hulu gift certificate.
Scott will run to the nearest 5 and Dime and get you a Hulu gift card. Oh, Scott, we love you. Shall we count the ways? Summary of the pilot. A famous guest host stars in parodies and sketches created by the cast of this witty show. We're going to have ourselves a witty show.
Yeah, I mean, concept-wise, yes, that's a good summary.
And that's not even for, like, the pilot.
That's just in
for the
general.
whole
Yeah,
series.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give it to you.
What about, would you give me interesting facts?
So, ladies and gentlemen, listen. Tonight, but Jason is going to give you some interesting facts. These are facts that you shouldn't give your opinion on. You should just listen to the facts because they're facts. That's all they're going to be is facts. You ever thought about facts? I thought about facts a lot. What I don't like to do is I don't talk about it, because if you talk about facts, it ruins, it taints everybody's experience. So, think about it. Don't tell anybody about them, your thoughts or feelings about these facts, because they're facts and there's nothing you can do to change it. Thank you. Is this the first time I've ever done this?
What is that? What is that voice you're doing?
This is not a voice.
You're doing some sort of like fast-talking New York voice.
It was supposed to be something different.
Okay. Well,
if it's a different season, I got to do something different.
Sometimes you tailor your voices and your songs to what we're talking about. I didn't know if that was one of these things.
Oh, I should. I know. It should have done. Play it again.
You do it again. All right.
No, actually, I like to do it a cappella.
Go ahead.
There's some facts that are gonna be told as the donkey flies over the ocean. And when those facts are told to a 17-year-old girl, she said, don't taint his experience while playing basketball. Don't go in a van that doesn't have windows. Don't call anybody that you don't know, 'cause these are facts that can't be changed. Facts that can't be changed.
Is that Janice Ian? Did you know Janice Ian going into this?
No.
Okay.
I never want to know her again.
Oh, that's a little peek into the future here. Okay, so interesting facts. I think it's going to be the case for all these. I have a lot to read. Is that okay?
Sure.
This is how it's going to be. It's going to be a setup for what the series is, information about the series, how it's got set up, and then information specifically about this pilot episode. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Saturday Night Live, known simply as SNL, is an American late-night comedy television variety show created by Lorne Michaels and developed by Dick Ebersol. The show premiered on NBC on October 11th, 1975, under the original title, NBC Saturday Night. The show's comedy sketches, which often parody contemporary culture and politics, are performed by a large, varying cast of repertory and newer cast members. Each episode is hosted by a celebrity guest who usually delivers the opening monologue and performs in sketches with the cast as featured performances, featured performances by a musical guest. Excuse me. An episode normally begins with a cold open sketch and ends with someone breaking character and proclaiming, live from New York, it's Saturday night, properly beginning the show. In 1980, Lorne Michaels, left the series to explore other opportunities. He was replaced by Gene Dumanian, who was replaced by Dick Ebersol after a season of bad reviews. Ebersol ran the show until 1985. Since Michaels' return, he has held the job as showrunner. Many SNL cast members have found national stardom while appearing on the show and achieved success in film and television, both in front and behind the camera. Others associated with the show, such as writers, have gone on to successful careers writing and starring in televisions and film. Fact.
You can't dispute that.
Who would? Broadcast from Studio 8H at NBC's headquarters in the Comcast building at 30 Rockefeller Plaza, SNL has aired 879 episodes since its debut and began its 45th season on September 28, 2019, making one of the longest-running network television programs in the United States. The show format has been developed and recreated in several countries, meeting with different levels of success. Successful sketches have seen life outside the show as featured films, including The Blues Brothers from 1980 and Wayne's World from 1992.
And Night at the Roxbury.
That's another. It's questionable whether that was a success, but it does fit the criteria. The show has been marketed in other ways, including home media releases of best of and whole seasons, and books and documentaries about behind-the-scenes activities of running and developing the show. We got a little bit more. Is that all right?
Sure.
Throughout 4 decades on air, Saturday Night Live has received a number of awards, including 71 Primetime Emmy Awards, 4 Writers Guild of America Awards, and 2 Peabody Awards.
Mr. Peabody!
Are you going to go smoke? In 2000, it was in... go for it. Yeah, drink a beer there, buddy. In 2000, it was inducted into the National Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame. It was ranked 10th in TV Guide's 50 Greatest Shows of All Time. And in 2007, it was listed as one of the Time Magazine's 100 Best Shows of All Time. As of 2018, the show had received 252 Primetime Emmy Award nominations and the most received by any television program. The live aspect of the show has resulted in several controversies and acts of censorships with mistakes and intentional acts of sabotage by performers as well as guests. From 1965 until 1975, NBC ran the Best of Carson reruns on The Tonight Show, airing them on either Saturday or Sunday night. Local affiliates' discretion, originally known as Saturday/Sunday Night Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. In 1974, Johnny Carson announced that he wanted the weekend shows pulled so they could be aired during the weeknights, allowing him to take time off. Fact.
I
guess got a little bit more.
You're parched. Are you all right? Take a drink. Take a drink real quick.
I'll take a quick drink. I'm pretty thirsty.
You're doing good. Hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
All right. Let's see. In 1974, NBC President Herb Schlosser approached his vice president of late-night programming, Dick Ebersol, and asked him to create a show to fill the Saturday night time slot. At the suggestion of Paramount Pictures executive Barry Diller, Schlosser and Ebersol then approached Lorne Michaels. Over the next 3 weeks, Ebersol and Michaels developed the latter's idea for a variety show featuring high-concept comedy sketches, political satire, and musical performances that would attract the 18 to 34-year-old viewers. By 1975, Michaels had assembled a talented cast, including, now they're going to say all of the not ready for primetime players. The original,
right.
Who can you name from there?
Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi.
Okay.
What's her name? Hold on, I got it. Jane Curtin.
Oh, no. Okay.
And Rosanna Dana. Gilda Radner.
Okay, yeah.
And that black guy, I don't remember that black guy's name. The older black guy. How many more do I got to do? I don't.
To me, there were 7,
and then,
but this lists 9.
Yeah,
but you have 5 of the original heavy hitter 7.
Right. There's the guy with the glasses and the mustache, and then there's the old black guy, and then there's another woman.
Yeah. Can we name him?
Yeah.
So the black guy is Garrett Morris.
Yeah.
Who is not actually that old. He looks old.
No, but
he's still around.
Yeah, he looks the same like when he started that as he looks like now.
Didn't crack. You got Lorraine Newman, who's the other girl. George Coe was the older cast member. And then Michael O'Donoghue, who was he was a writer for like the National the Lampoon. The National Lampoon.
Yeah.
Anyway,
not bad though, huh?
That's pretty good.
Were you surprised?
I'm very surprised. The show was originally called NBC Saturday Night Live because Saturday Night Live was in use by Saturday Night Live with Howard Cosell on the rival network ABC. After the cancellation of the Cosell show, NBC purchased the rights to the name in 1976 and officially adopted the new title on March 26, 1977. The show was originally conceived with 3 rotating permanent guests, Lily Tomlin, Richard Pryor, and George Carlin. When Pryor dropped out because his brand of comedy was not censor-friendly, the concept of having those 3 permanent rotating guests was dropped. Debuting in 1975 on October 11th, the show quickly developed a cult following, eventually becoming a mainstream hit. Fact. That's about the show at large.
Sure.
Here's a couple quick facts
about the pilot.
About the actual pilot itself. NBC reran this episode in its entirety on June 29th, 2008 as a tribute to George Carlin, who had died the previous Sunday. Albert Brooks was approached by Lorne Michaels in 1975 to be the permanent host of the show. He turned it down and suggested to Michaels that he use a different host every week. Brooks instead offered to write and direct a series of short films that he produced from Los Angeles, 2 of which we saw in this pilot.
Right.
George Carlin wanted to wear a T-shirt, but network executives wanted him to wear a suit. As a compromise, Carlin wore a vest and jacket over his T-shirt. On the premiere edition of Weekend Update, Chevy Chase closes with the now famous ending line, "Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow," which would go on to be used by Jane Curtin from 1976 to 1980 and Tina Fey from 2000 to 2006. It is likely that this phrase was loosely based on the closing line, "Good night and a good tomorrow," used by John Daly as a sign-off for his NBC nightly newscast from 1953 to 1960.
Wow.
The original cast members were known as the
You just said it earlier.
not ready for prime time
not ready
players.
for prime time players.
Yep. Each of the 5 ad spoofs that appear in this broadcast would be repeated several times throughout the first season. It was intended that host George Carlin would appear in the sketches alongside the cast. However, Carlin, who admitted he was in another world on cocaine at the time, lost his nerve and backed out of the sketches, forcing the cast to fill in for him. Carlin's appearances were limited to performing excerpts from his stand-up act. So we watched the whole show and we're like, George Carlin's the host. As we know it today, the host is in every sketch.
Almost, yeah.
George Carlin was in 0 sketches.
Yeah.
That's why. Richard Belzer, a friend and colleague of John Belushi's from the National Lampoon Radio Hour, is on the jury with him in the Piece of Evidence sketch. In the film Man on the Moon 1999, he is depicted introducing Andy Kaufman to the studio audience.
Oh, all right.
So there's just 3 more, I promise. Lorne Michaels had wanted to have Carole King and Stevie Wonder as the musical guests for this show. Stevie Wonder would not appear until he was the host/musical guest in 1983, and Carole King would make a cameo in 1991. How are you the host of the show when you're blind?
I have no idea.
Well, that's
you
wild.
can't hit any marks. You can't read cue cards.
Yeah.
And they changed. They supposedly changed. Stuff up to the last minute.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's all on the cue cards. Whatever they're changing, is they tell you quick, and then you have to read the cards.
Right.
Wow. Billy Crystal was scheduled to guest appear, but walked out when Lorne Michaels told him that his monologue had to be trimmed by a few minutes. Valerie Bromfield was his replacement. Crystal later appeared in the 17th episode of Saturday Night Live with Ron Nessen and Patti Smith group from 1976 and joined the cast in the 1984-1985 season. Oh my God. End of interesting facts.
Wow. But here's the thing. When we do these pilots that never go to series, there's not that many facts because there was nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
And people are going to have to understand in this season, there's going to be, because there's a lot, some of these span 2 seasons, some of these span 18 seasons, some of them span 32 seasons.
SNL is in its 45th season right now.
So,
and it's still going, obviously.
Right. I mean, you obviously trim the fat as much as you could, but you still want to get a point across and get a feel for it.
Yeah. Twitter responses.
Live from the plane, it's Twitter responses.
Yeah, we're not going to do that this season, I don't think.
Oh.
Who's going to respond? Who's going to respond to
This
that?
is the time you do it, is when you're watching.
I literally have thousands of people to choose from SNL. I promise going forward I'll do it, but I didn't do it.
There's a few, there's a couple that I've chosen that definitely somebody would probably.
I will do it then. I will do it going forward. Okay.
That was the whole point, my part of it.
Okay. Well, I had a commercial I was going to play from Saturday
Sure.
Live, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think we're just going to get right into.
Yeah, because we're deep diving on an hour already.
Let's put 10 minutes on the clock.
Sure, 10 minutes
and
is good.
we're going to talk about this hour-long episode of Saturday Night Live. So I think it was probably an hour and a half. It's probably the same time slot.
Sure.
Locally here in Central Illinois, 10:30 to midnight. But with the commercials and what have you, it's just over an hour.
Right.
So the version you watched, I watched on the DVD. I have the complete thing on the DVD. Was it an hour and 5 minutes for you?
I had a lot of commercials in between mine for Hulu commercials.
Well, hopefully I will have. We both have the same information.
Sure.
Anyway, let's go and start the clock. Go right ahead.
We have the cold open, which features John Belushi, and he's obviously has a foreign, so he's learning how to speak English.
It's Michael O'Donoghue is like teaching him how to speak.
Yeah, and then they go through some, and then the guy has a heart attack, and then John Belushi acts like he has a heart attack, and then Chevy Chase comes in because both guys are laying on the floor. They can't do the live from New York thing. He comes in with like a monitor on, like he's
like he works on the center part of the
and
crew.
he's like live from New York and Saturday night.
The first thing I notice is like when you watch Saturday Night Live now, and probably for the past 10 years or so, you watch the cold open, and it's like the cold open is going to be like 7-8 minutes.
Right.
This was like 2 minutes.
Right.
Maybe 2
Right.
minutes. And that is a theme throughout the rest of the show. These sketches are fast as hell.
Except one.
So they go back and forth with ridiculous phrases. Like you said, they say Saturday Night Live. Intro, Don Pardo, the man who just until a few years ago had done everything. He died in his mid to late 90s.
And he was still doing all
until the very end. He would do it in New York forever, but that toward the end of his life, he lived in Arizona and just recorded it remotely.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then he died.
Yeah, so he introduces George Carlin, Jim Henson, Albert Brooks, Andy Kaufman.
The Muppets are in this, yeah.
Yeah, and what I noticed right off the bat was that the audience was like around the stage.
Oh yeah, it was a theater in the round.
Instead of like nowadays, it's just they're in front of the stage. But this could be also possibly this could have been because of the whole doing his comedy. Maybe that's why it was like almost a whole comedy routine. So he's around him. I don't know. Did you see this later on? I didn't see this later.
George Carlin comes out in a little platform, a little square platform. He's completely surrounded by people, and he talks about differences between football, baseball. Nothing germane, really, to nothing topical. It seemed it was mainly just jokes from an act.
Right. I think these are some of like his softball jokes to get people warmed up, maybe.
Yeah.
To him, but there were some good analogies, but
then we go right into the first sketch.
Yeah. Doesn't he? Oh, go ahead.
The first sketch has got Dan Aykroyd as the man of the house, and it's basically saying, hey, here's the dad coming home from work. He's in his suit. The kid and the wife is there. But what happens if dad goes away? And what if he dies or there's a divorce?
Sure, it's like new dad insurance.
Yep, that's exactly right. Basically, if your dad goes away for whatever reason, this company will provide you with a new father. In this case, it's Chevy Chase, and he comes in, and their phrase is tops and pops, which is lazy.
Right.
And this is what I really notice here. When he sits on the couch, Chevy Chase sits on the couch, and I think it was Lorraine Newman or something, sits on his lap. Chevy is kissing her.
Oh,
and he's super
handsy. For sure.
He looks like he's really kissing her.
Right. I bet he was too. Then we have Billy Preston, right? Billy Preston is the first musical guest, and he's like, nothing for nothing is nothing. And
gotta have something if you want to be with me.
One of the things I noticed was it's a very energetic performance. The drummer is just having a good time, and one of the guitar players is wearing a human skin suit.
I did not see that.
You need to go back and look.
There's no way you're right about that. A human skin suit.
It looks like Leatherface. Like it's like his whole. It's a leather.
I will have to.
You have to go back.
The shit is funky that they're playing.
And it reminded me of James Brown. It was very James Brown-esque. You know what I mean? It was funky. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was. You know what? And I liked it.
They play in front of a tall graffitied wall. And there's a 6-piece jam. The 6-piece band jamming out, and it's truly a live performance. Because sometimes you watch those and you're like, are they really singing? This is a very true live performance. And here's where I make note: we're maybe 8 minutes in. We are watching a late night New York party. That's what we're watching at this. We're watching a party. There are no rules. There's just a hodgepodge of different pieces of entertainment thrown together. I really feel like a spirit of just counterculture and I don't know. I'm caught up in the feeling of this is the 70s. We don't know what we're doing. This is the first time we're doing it, and we're just throwing shit together and see what works.
I get you on that. The next skit is the courtroom skit where Jane Curtin just can't say what the guy said. Repeat what the guy said to her.
Chevy sounds like he's the prosecutor, and he's like, or maybe he's the defense attorney, right? Because he's like, hey, what happened? You got pulled into an alley. What happened? And she won't say it. And
he's the prosecutor because the black guy is the defense because he goes to her defense. He's got the Jamaican accent.
Okay.
And
so she writes it down, and then everyone looks at it, and they start passing it around to even the jury, right?
Right.
And she's too embarrassed to read it out loud. So as they're passing it around, the judge looks at Chevy, Garrett, and then the jurors look. And so Dan Aykroyd's got it. He hands it to John Belushi.
Shows it to Gilda, actually taps her and wakes her up. She reads it, and she's been asleep this whole time, and she thinks that John's putting the moves on her.
She gives him a big okay sign, like it must have been something dirty sexual, but she was all into it. So that was fun. And a sketch. And this is where I first make a note. It's like, wow, they're really not messing around with drawn out bits. It's boom, ba-boom, ba-boom.
Right. It is definitely quick paced.
Next, you have Andy Kaufman. And he was a guy at the time who I think was just doing kind of maybe like a first wave anti-comedy kind of thing.
Right.
And he's standing in front of just like a red, was it red, right?
Yeah, red curtain, and he's got an old record player.
Yeah. And
he doesn't say anything. He's introduced. He doesn't say anything.
Literally his whole time he says nothing.
Right. And then when he plays this, and the only time he mimes anything, the lip sync says, "Here I come to save the day."
It's the Mighty Mouse theme song on vinyl that they're playing, and this is his premiere bit. This is what people know.
And that's what I wrote. I was like, this is like the famous Kaufman bit. And what I noticed is I really wanted to pay a lot of attention to this one because I didn't really take a lot of notes while it was going on because I wanted to pay attention. I didn't want to miss anything because I know with him, you're going to miss little itty bitty things.
Yes.
And the anticipation and the awkwardness of the anticipation because he only mouthed it 3 times.
He wasn't doing nothing. But he was looking like he was preparing himself, and he was almost too anxious to start doing the bit. When he was doing nothing, he was still doing quite a bit.
Right.
Was it funny? I don't know. But it was different.
Right. It was different, and I think that's in the mid '70s. That's what your people are comedian wise
just trying things,
just trying to do different stuff.
Yeah, I think comedy started like in the Borscht Belt in the United States in like the 50s,
right?
And I think by the 70s, that kind of was the first wave of stand-up comedy was over, and by the 70s rolls around, and you're getting places that are like built just for comedy instead of going into supper clubs or weird
casinos.
Yes, you have places for comedy, and this really says what is comedy. And Kaufman was really doing things that no one was doing at the time, including "Here I Come to Save the Day."
We come in to have some more George Carlin stand up, and I remember writing this. I was like, not good. Like the first one, I didn't laugh, but I understood what he was doing.
Yeah.
His second.
It's a lot of one-liners,
and it doesn't. It's not attached to anything. It's just one-liner after one-liner, and it's just.
I'm not super familiar with his shit. I know he used to be kind of the goofy weatherman at one point, and then he kind of became the hippy dippy guy, which you see here. And he's got that record, the 7 words you can't say. But I think this may not. This is not how Carlin is seen.
Right.
That you can't put him on live TV and censor him because that's not how he works.
And I also think this is not the seasoned Carlin that maybe most people know, where he honed his rhythm and everything. Like
he was big enough to star in this,
right? But I don't think that
this because when I think about George Carlin, I think, oh, he's fairly bald. He's got
right.
Long,
That's what
hair.
Molly's like. Look at all that hair he's got.
He's got brown hair. He still has hair.
So he goes through. So then
he introduces Janice Ian.
What was she?
She sings "At 17," which I think is the song you were parodying earlier. Right?
All I wrote was "Big Lips."
Okay.
And this is not somebody you have, or she doesn't sing this song on your premiere show, on a live show. It drones on. The lyrics are it's a guitar. There's a drummer behind her that you can see.
It's acoustic for the first third.
That drummer wants to just hit stuff and he can't. And actually during this song, I think you should go back and do this too. You can hear people opening doors like backstage.
Oh,
and
I did
stuff.
hear that. I did actually hear that.
And I was just like, she's singing so softly that you can hear doors opening up. I didn't think it was a good fit.
It was a slow, acoustic, serious song. She was very serious singing it.
I think she was like a political singer, right? Probably.
She may have had tendencies of that way, but yeah, she was just kind of a singer-songwriter, and there was a light drum that kicked in about a third of the way through the song. It was mainly dark with a spotlight on her.
And the close-ups were always shaky. The camera on the close-ups was always shaky.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
It was horrible.
Okay. Well, that was it for her. She did that. She was smiling afterwards. She seemed to. She was. Glad
I
she was
don't
there.
think she smiled until they panned way away from her. Like it was awkward.
She's got an image apparently.
I guess so.
The next thing is a talk show. It's Victims of Shark Bite, and it's Jane Curtin. She's the host of the show. She interviews John Belushi. He's like, I was swimming. I got my arm bit off, and she's like, you very clearly have your arm under the coat. He's like, I mean my leg, and he's got his leg under it. So, and that's all it was. The joke was, you said you had parts of your body bitten off. You don't.
Right.
And that was it. And then Jane throws it to commercial.
Right. And then let's see here.
Chevy Chase here, yeah. This is a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, this one, well, it was one of the commercials. Like we all know Saturday Night Live commercials, right? It was Chevy Chase and this other guy,
It was Michael O'Donoghue.
Michael O'Donoghue, and Chevy Chase is like talking about how great his wife is. This is his wife, and it's a guy, and it's for Jamatol.
Yeah, Jam It All.
Jamatol, like that's like butt fucking.
Yeah.
So it was progressively not supposed to be progressive. Maybe it was supposed to be making fun of it,
Maybe a little bit.
but to be on TV, it was progressive.
Yes, yeah, it was something that was not done, but here we are in late night doing it. Chevy Chase is this tall, thin, clean-shaven man, and he was talking about his wife, who is this shorter, very hairy, bearded Michael O'Donoghue, calling him his wife.
He was even smoking a cane, a pipe.
Yeah. So it was an odd one. And then you have Paul Simon coming on to announce that he's going to host next week, which is something that is not usually done either.
No, and also he was funny because he said his ex partner Art Garfunkel, and they're going to do a reunion of sorts.
Yes,
but he was very clear that it was his ex singing partner. I mean, so
Yeah.
I think they were still having bad blood at this time, probably.
Maybe so.
And there was some money thrown in front of it.
probably.
How much money do you think it would have cost for Lauren Michaels to get the Beatles on Saturday Night Live?
Oh God, you can't. Well, he's had Paul McCartney, but I don't know. Actually, George Harrison may have been on too in the '80s. I don't know.
Yeah, but he tried to get the Beatles to.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There was a story about it. I don't remember who said it, but
You know more than I do about that. Then next is here we are, the first episode, and right away it still holds up to this day. They have a weekend update, and you have the original host of Chevy Chase, and he's reading right from papers on the desk. He's not reading from cue cards here.
No.
And it's very odd. I don't like it. I don't like that he's reading right from the paper.
Well, I think
it's off-putting.
But I think these were, like I said, I think these were ones that were, maybe they hadn't even really got the cue card thing going fast enough in regards to switches up. He does a Jimmy Hoffa voice, and they did some President Ford voices. But also, I noticed on this, he slips up maybe like 3 times, but recovers very well.
Yes.
I mean, they're obvious, but it doesn't
So
stump him.
obvious to the point where he says, I lost my place.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah. He kicks it over to Lorraine Newman, who's live at the Blaine Hotel where there's a murder. And then it ends abruptly, and then there's an arthritis commercial, and it's
Try open it.
Try opening.
it.
Yeah, it's basically saying you have arthritis, but you're not going to be able to open our bottle.
Right.
So it's
And I was surprised too that after that commercial, it went back to Weekend Update.
it took a break in Weekend Update and went back to it. After
But it was only like one more joke. Like one, it wasn't like another full set of jokes.
Next is a very odd segment. It's a dystopian wasteland. This is a Muppet sketch where there's like a bunch of smoking and steaming craters, and these big monsters are talking. And I'm not sure what's happening here.
I don't know what's going on, and then it doesn't make sense. It's very long. It's the longest bit on this whole show.
And there's also a monster with big boobs.
Right, like a whore.
Yeah, there's like a horror
And then
monster.
there was a big a stone.
yeah.
And
a stone idol that talks.
And I just kept waiting, going, there must be one fucking great of a joke at the end. And it wasn't.
These guys are all high, man. That's why this is entertaining, because these guys are all high. There's all
Cheer up.
Yeah.
Things could be worse. That was the fucking punchline of the whole thing.
that was it. Then you got George Carlin doing more stand-up. He's basically doing more one-liners, saying, where's the blue food? I want blue food. All right. Then you got another film by Albert Brooks. This is called The Impossible Truth. And it's a scrolling narrative to start, saying, I don't know, a spinning newspaper. And then one of the stories is we got a blind taxi driver. And then he says this Israel and Georgia are going to change places. All the unrest in the Middle East, where they're going to change places, except it's not the country of Georgia. It's the United State of Georgia.
And there's actually even a Confederate flag on the wall.
Yeah. And then you have the state of Oregon lowers the age of consent to 7.
And that was an off-putting little bit.
That was odd, yeah. It was
I was like,
it was a
"Ooh."
man trying to romance a 7-year-old girl while she was eating salad. And then you have a peek into the future about a woman who swims every day. Just a handful of odd stories. There's a few more quick things I think we'll get through. Is that cool?
Sure. There's the bee. Are you going to skip the bee hospital skit, or is that
We can't skip the bee hospital.
Okay.
Skit. All the cast members are dressed up like bees, right?
right? And they come out and congratulations, Mr. B. And everybody's named Mr. B.
Everyone's name is Mr. B.
It's a drone, and there's a drone, and then they bring out John Belushi's and it's a worker, and they're like, oh. And then
And here's a scene from next week, and it comes out as like, hey, it's a queen.
and
That's
everybody's like,
from
oh, that's great.
Anyway, the next one is Gilda. This may be the most entertaining one to me, oddly enough. Gilda Radner is sitting at a table. She answers a phone, and then you have a picture-in-picture of a man fast talking about job opportunities in the phone answering industry, and just Gilda's reactions to everything.
Sure.
I did really enjoy her here. And it goes on like an informational video about the classes you could take and everything you could learn about answering phones. It's dumb, but I really liked Gilda here.
Oh yeah. The next one they had a comedian on.
This is the one that Billy Crystal dropped out and this woman replaced.
Okay.
And it doesn't help when people say women aren't funny. This doesn't help prove them wrong.
Right, and I wouldn't also say that it wasn't a comedian kind of thing. It was, like a skit or a story that she
came out and pretended to be like a teacher,
and it was so
addressing
fast.
students.
She was in a hurry. Like she had this written, and it was probably a 10-minute bit, and she had to say it in 7.
Everyone's on coke.
That's true.
Everybody's on coke here. She does multiple characters. It's not really funny.
No. And so then we have
Actually, this may be the funniest.
this
thing.
one is Show Me Your Guns.
It's another pre-tape bit. It's basically saying, hey, we're Saturday Night Live. We're going to go around the country. We want people from around this great United States to show us
your
their
guns.
their guns, their
and
weapons.
it's just them in the back of a pickup truck or a big semi truck taking video of people, and they're going by people that are getting married. They're going by people that are they're
mowing the grass, right?
Old ladies,
grannies on park benches,
pulling their guns out.
The best one is everyone has a gun except the police officer seems to have misplaced his gun, right? Newlyweds, like you said, on their own wedding day.
And the two mob guys were obviously mob guys. They're like, whoa, don't, the motion not to take it out.
It was funny. George Carlin again.
Again. It's the Jesus and God stuff. I think the only thing that here that really got even a pop from the crowd was there was a comment about the military.
Yes, he said how he was basically saying it's cliched now, but that the phrase jumbo shrimp is an oxymoron, just like the phrase military intelligence.
But at the time, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So
Billy Preston comes back out with his new song "Fancy Lady." He's got a lady singing with him this time.
Yeah,
another energetic performance.
And then this one is my favorite.
Okay,
skit.
Really,
Gilda and John, they're getting robbed, but it's actually Trojan Horse Home Security, and I just really liked it.
You got Dan Aykroyd as the guy who's in charge of Trojan Horse, and then as Garrett Morris comes in too. They both tag team rob them, but they're doing it to prove a point. When actually, I think they're kind of taking them.
Sure.
Not unlike Scott and his Apple phone call, right?
Right, that's very true.
So,
and there was a pop gun, and
Yeah.
it scared. I had a jump scare. I was like, "Oh shit!" I didn't think they'd actually do it.
did you catch Garrett Morris's name in the sketch?
Oh, I don't remember.
I believe it to be Harvey Marblemaster.
or something like that. Yeah, and they end up even having kidnap the kid.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I really liked it.
This next one is interesting because it's true to life. It came true.
Oh,
You have a pre-taped commercial where a caveman is shaving by the water. It says, "Man has wanted to shave since the dawn of time." And then here's some razors over the years. We've got the triple track blades. Basically, they're saying the height of razor technology this time is 2 blades.
Right.
Here's something hilarious: 3 blades.
Yeah.
Would that be funny? And now there are 5 blades easily
Sure,
on a razor.
for sure.
And I will go far as to say this. Years later, maybe 15, 20 years later, after this episode, SNL had another sketch about the number of razors on a blade, increasing it to maybe upwards of 8.
Oh, really?
So they did multiple. It had to be an homage to this first episode
Right.
when they did that. But I thought that was very funny.
Joanne Ian again sings.
Janice
Ian sings.
She's on the piano this time.
It's just brutal. And then the classic whoever the host is, the picture of them. and then he comes on, and he doesn't have the whole cast around him like they do. You see now,
No.
it's just him, and he's just thanking everybody.
He's
and
in the round like he has been all night.
and he just plugs his new album.
Yep, and the band plays him and he's just sitting there on stage. And then did you notice the credits? Okay, so it said produced by Lorne Bud Michaels, and I wrote that down. I was like, oh, I've never heard him known as Bud. I never heard that he had a nickname called Bud. And then as I watched the rest of the credits, everyone that was credited had the nickname Bud.
Oh, nice.
So it was obviously a joke on me. But I tell you what, the joke may be on us because I don't know about turbulence here.
Please remain seated as we are now crossing a zone of turbulence.
I usually say, why didn't this show work? I'm going to ask you, why did this show work? It obviously did. It is still working to this very day.
Okay, and this is going to be hard for me because
Okay.
I know it's still raining today. I have enjoyed it for many years myself. And one of the poignant things you said earlier was there's so much talent and so many talented people just starting out and knowing not what they're going to do. There was nothing. There was no blueprint for this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm giving them tons of credit on that because if you look back on who has been on Saturday Night Live, mostly these core people, they were huge, right? They were just, and a lot of huge people come from it. But for every one huge star that comes from it, there's 15 people that you've never heard.
For every Adam Sandler, there's 15 Ellen Cleghorns, right?
Right. Why did it work? I think it was a time in the country, the timing in the mid 70s. Everybody was, it was still war talk, and everybody was against the government. Everybody wanted to laugh. I think the younger crowd, like 18 to 30 something, that's who was kind of not taking over, but was becoming who to market to instead of mom and dad, who
Right.
And like I said, I think there was just a different kind of comedy was coming out, different kinds than the regular guy, the mob guy in the casino or something. And I think it was the root people that were on this. They were all really talented people, and I think they held it up. Maybe when it, might not have been held up if it was just a group of people not as talented. Does that make sense?
Do you remember North Hollywood? We saw that a few weeks ago. We were talking to Bob Stevenson, the man who created and starred in it, right?
Right.
Oh my God, I think I forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say?
Why did this work?
Wow, I completely lost my train of thought. Well, that's weird. I guess what I was going to say...
You're still listening to the Jillian Ian sing? That makes you lose your fucking train of thought.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Bob Stevenson was in a movie called A Stupid and Futile Gesture. Have you heard of this film?
Huh.
It's on Netflix. It's directed by David Wayne, and it's taken from a line from the movie Animal House, which in its full title is National Lampoon's Animal House.
Right.
There's a gentleman went by the name of Doug Kenny, who is the character of Doug Kenny, stars in that film. It's about him, played by Will Forte, going from his days at Harvard and writing on the Harvard...
I did watch this. Yes, I did watch this.
Wrote for the Harvard Lampoon, and eventually the National Lampoon, which would be this magazine that was a successful magazine. And a lot of these people that they worked with in the New York area were part of the local underground comedy scene, and a lot of them were pulled together by Lorne Michaels to start this program.
Right.
So, to me, this is 1970s counterculture. This is...
That's the word I was looking for, counterculture.
That's what this is.
How many ends are in that?
I think it's just Garrett Morris. But this is the definitive comedy program on television, period.
Yeah.
This show, whether you like it or not, whether you believe so or not, time after time, as comedy changes, so does this program. This show dictates comedy on United States television, period. There have been other shows to redefine it, change it, mess with it, but this show has been the one constant for 45 years that you can look to and say, who are some up-and-coming faces? What is some of the interesting things happening in comedy right now? And minus those 5 years in the 80s, the one constant there, besides the show itself, is Lorne Michaels.
Right.
The man who really is the kingmaker, right?
Right.
He's in charge of The Tonight Show. He's in charge of Saturday Night Live. He's in charge of Late Night with Seth Meyers. He has his hands in production companies. The man is a media mogul, and it all started from him working on this show. This is where he had some success in Canada, where he was from, but this is where he really got his hands at the market and has continued to expand until this very day. This is comedy in the United States. This is it. Look no further than here. That we also ask ourselves what we could do to improve this, where we'd like to see it go if it survived. They're really moot points, if you ask me.
But, I mean, we kind of did skip over turbulence because, you kind of said,
Okay, well, what
I think we should go over a little bit like what was wrong with this first episode.
Yeah, this is the first one. They didn't know what they're doing yet. There was a documentary that it's kind of known, but James Franco about 10 years ago made this documentary where he worked with Saturday Night Live and filmed this. And there's a very clear structure to the show, especially today. I can name exactly what sketches are going to happen and what order they're going to happen. There is a structure to this program, but that did not exist here.
Sure.
So what do you think was wrong with this pilot episode?
Let's see. That Muppets thing. And I understand Jim Henson's probably good friends with Lorne Michaels, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't have any place in this.
I think Children's Television Workshop is based on New York. I think that's where they do Sesame Street is in New York. So, yeah, it makes sense that they're right there and they're accessible to them.
Right, but who are you trying to... I mean, it was like an adult public...
You watch the Muppet movie in the 70s, and you watch Sesame Street in the 70s. It's kids. I think they were saying, "Hey, we can do edgier stuff too."
But it wasn't. That's not good. It wasn't edgy, in my opinion.
What was that noise? Your refrigerator going off?
The refrigerator popping. Yeah.
I think that it's more of a variety show. They're like, "What are a bunch of different things that we can do here?"
Yeah.
And they threw that in the mix, for better or worse.
I just think that was horrible. Let's see. To me, Jane Curtin, I thought she was fucking super sexy.
Oh, really?
I always thought she was super sexy. Do you think she was cute? Like a mom cute, maybe?
She was kind of cute.
She was just like a girl next door cute. She wasn't like a bombshell.
Jane Curtin's the every lady. I thought Lorraine Newman was actually really cute. And then Gilda Radner is just she's the breakout female comedian in the show.
Right.
She's the funny one.
And she really, to me, like you said, she was in the phone one and she was in the courtroom one and didn't say anything.
She was on the couch, right, with John Belushi.
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, she was in there, but I just felt like you didn't really see her. You didn't.
I watched a recent episode of Saturday Night Live, and there's a fella, Kenan Thompson.
Yeah.
He's literally been on the show
17 years or something.
It really is, like 15
like the
to
longest
17,
of anybody ever.
Easily. 15 to 17 years he's been on the show. There was an episode where I think he was on maybe one sketch.
Yeah.
That happens.
Sure.
That happens. Who are your sketches? What are your sketches for that? Who's in the sketches? Even if you're the most popular guy, if you're not in one of them,
right,
it doesn't make it to air.
No,
you're not on
sense.
it. So it happened to her. I think she was on the show for 4 or 5 years, and she was featured quite a bit.
Sure. Oh no, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, let's move towards Final Descent.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position.
No surprise here, Saturday Night Live is on the Rotten Tomatoes website, but it's not for the individual episode, but for the series as a whole. Do you have an idea of where that would be?
8.5.
It's out of 100%. So are you saying 85%?
Yeah.
Okay, it's at 65% from the audience.
Oh, okay.
And then
this is Rotten Tomatoes. Okay.
Yeah. And then IMDb, for this specific episode,
oh, okay.
What do you think the score would be?
Yeah, 7.3.
7.6.
Right.
And that's from 318 ratings.
And I did not look, just so you know, I did not cheat.
Critic reviews. This is an old report from 1975 when it came out. Americans had tuned into NBC's sketch comedy series Saturday Night Live for the first time. The Hollywood Reporter's original review is below. NBC's late night musical comedy series Saturday Night got off to a less than auspicious start with comic George Carlin as the opening night host. The 90-minute show, which replaced reruns of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, was plagued throughout with a lack of exciting guests and innovative writing, helping to keep the debut at a lackluster pace. Director Dave Wilson handled his technical chores to perfection, so well, in fact, no miscues, dead mics, or drop lines in sight, that the live element of the telecast was all but lost as a result. Promos for the show stating it's live so anything can happen only served to make that fact that nothing ever did much more obvious. Rock musician Billy Preston, folk singer Janet Ian, and comedians Andy Kaufman and Valley Bromfield handled their guest spots with varying effectiveness. In a far too brief comedy bits, Kaufman provided the show's funniest moments with a spoof of the Mighty Mouse theme, while Bromfield's talents were wasted on a monologue about an athletic coach. Preston, a musical magician on the keyboard, impressed with his soulful fancy lady. Earlier, his worn nothing from nothing served mainly to wake up the audience. The social comment in Janice Ian's haunting at 17 was lost as her sterile stage performance, more appropriate and intimate than a studio setting, commanded more attention than her song. Monologues by Carlin bridged the performances, and while individual lines were humorous, the overall effect was not. The ultimate success of this series will depend largely on producer Lorne Michaels' mixture of guests and hosts and his immediate upgrading of the comedy material being turned out by his staff of 10 writers. Dick Ebersol is the executive producer for NBC, with lighting by Bob Davis and music from Howard Shore Orchestra. Now that's from Richard Hack, originally published on October 14th, 1975. So going all the way back and finding an actual review.
And that guy was probably 53 years old. He was writing that.
Maybe. I feel like he nailed some of that stuff.
Oh, no, I
though.
think so. I think so, too. I think he was honest about it. But
yeah.
I also think he's probably part of it's also grumpy old man kind of syndrome.
Perhaps. Viewer reviews. I'll just read some scores here and some headlines. 9 out of 10 scars. Finding an odd, surreal relic that still retains lots of its original awesomeness. 9 out of 10 scars. God Bless George.
No.
8 out of 10 scars. Good Eve Aning. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe that's something that I didn't catch from the pilot there.
I think Carlin was one of the least funny parts of this pilot. I really did. I really did. I didn't think he was that good at all.
You know, I feel like the show as a whole melded together well, and that the Carlin bits were necessary, but they could have been better. You know, it was an interesting. They didn't know what they were doing, so why not
but also,
glue them together with his?
Couldn't it also be Carlin's like, I don't want to use my best material because I just put out a brand new album.
Maybe
I just put out a brand new album.
10 out of 10 scars. Live from New York. 8 out of 10 scars. It's a Queen played in the NBC Studio Park. I'm not sure what that means. Just a few more here. Oh, last one actually. 8 out of 10 scars. A good episode for a newcomer to the show. So maybe someone just finding the show and said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start at episode number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FCF Airport. Local time is 11:11 and the temperature is 69 degrees. For your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captains turn off the fasten seatbelt sign.
I want to say quickly, this is a season of 10 episodes of successful shows that you and I have picked that we're watching the pilot episode of. Just because we have decided to watch the pilot episode of a series that we love doesn't mean that we're going to give it a perfect score.
Right.
We're going to be fair and balanced here. All right, and I'll be completely honest with you. This is the first time that I've seen the pilot episode of the show.
Really? And you're one of the biggest fans I know.
I remember being a young man, probably before 10 years old, being with my parents, going to parties. I was probably like 5, 6, 7. They would go to parties, and they'd be drinking in the kitchen, and I'd be sitting on the couch in the living room watching Saturday Night Live as a tiny child. So I've seen a lot from, like the Nora Dunn, Phil Hartman era, into the Farley Sandler, and then as I got older in high school, it was Farrell and like Tina Fey, and then I started watching again probably about the time my daughter was born, and it was no coincidence. Your social life takes a hit when you have a baby, so I'm at home watching, and I've seen every SNL at least for the past 13, 14 years, just as something that I not only at the time had to do socially, but because I love now,
right?
And I respect and understand the what that show means to this country. So let me ask you this: you watch SNL on occasion?
Yeah, we watch it. We watch it pretty frequently. We don't watch it the day of. We don't have cable, so we don't watch it the day of. Well, that doesn't make a difference. But me and Molly like to watch it like on a Sunday night or like Monday or Tuesday night. Watch it. So we've watched pretty much all of them for the past couple of years.
You think about SNL, and people always say, whenever you're in high school, that was your favorite cast.
Sure.
What about you? do you have a cast that you look back and think this was it? This is my favorite. This is the best lineup they ever had.
I don't really have a favorite cast, and even I have people that I enjoyed more so than others. There's like I never thought that Adam Sandler was that funny. I still don't. We know that, but what's the guy from Portlandia?
Fred Armisen.
I think Fred Armisen is hilarious.
He's great.
And on there now, Kyle Mooney. I think Kyle Mooney is hilarious. You know what I mean? So
he's great. Yeah.
I don't look at him as a whole cast. I just pick out ones every once in a while. That I'm like, yeah.
It is interesting too, the ebbs and flows of Saturday Night Live. Not only in the popularity as it peaks and wanes, it has peaks and valleys like anything does. But in the beginning, I think there's your kind of sketch people, groundlings people,
right?
But then when you were talking with Sandler was a stand-up. And in the 90s, early 90s, they said, let's get a bunch of stand-ups to be on this show.
Right.
Let's get like Norm Macdonald and David Spade. These guys are stand-up comedians. But now, since the mid to late 90s, things like the Groundlings and Second City have increased in popularity, and other things like the Upright Citizens Brigade, UCB, has sprouted up in several parts of the country. People are going to these places, and they're churning out sketch actors that would fit perfectly in this scenario. So it's interesting to see at points of the show. Oh, what do we get? We're gonna get a bunch of stand-up comedians who do impressions. Oh yeah, and then maybe we'll get a bunch of sketch guys.
Right.
It's interesting to see who comes in and where they come from.
Right. And and I would honestly say personally, I think that with the election 3 years ago, when Trump was running, and then when he actually became president, I think that it hurt the creative part of. They're
so focused on that.
I mean, they have to be. That's the part. That's what sucks about it is every cold open is going to be a Trump thing because they can't not make fun of the orange buffoon.
He is definitely
the
front and center in their crosshairs. But I will say, even before Trump, usually their cold open is political. I would say 8 or 9 out of 10 times that cold open is going to be political. But now you have someone like Donald Trump who is constantly stirring up controversy with the ridiculous shit that he says. Of course that's going to be your cold open. Right. Of course it is. It has to be topical. It has to be something that happened that week, if not a day ago.
Yeah, I just, I think that, they're always going to have jokes, political jokes.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But I just think sometimes it overtakes Weekend Update. It overtakes it, and it's I'm like, you just
there's plenty to joke about. We don't have to always do that.
Right, exactly. We know how much of an idiot he is, but he's doing such stupid stuff that they can't not. It's
low hanging fruit.
It's like candy to a baby.
So who's your favorite cast?
I don't have a favorite cast.
You don't have a favorite cast?
Not specifically. Amy Poehler, to me, I think she's funnier than Tina Fey.
Okay.
But
I like young, scrappy Amy Poehler. We're talking 2004. Yeah, I would say 2000 to 2005 Amy Poehler, the scrappy, young, punching, kicking. I love that Amy Poehler. That's good.
I never have thought of it as a whole cast. I like her. It's always been there's a couple standouts, and I can just remember them.
Yeah. My favorite's probably around 2009, 2011. Will Forte may be my favorite cast member of all time. He is a man who is probably certifiably crazy. In all honesty, he probably is a crazy person. I think the only cast member to never break.
Yeah.
Which says a lot. Some of the ridiculous shit.
And that's one of the things why I didn't think Jimmy Fallon was. I didn't like him on Saturday Night Live.
It becomes a crutch because
he
break.
Yeah, he does it all the time.
Yeah.
And you know who does that now? He just did it this past weekend. What's his name?
Beck Bennett?
No, I like Beck Bennett.
He's good.
No, the guy that has all the girlfriends.
Oh, Pete Davidson.
Yeah, he's giggling all the time, and at some points it's fine, it's good, but I'm like, I like the ones that are almost ready to, but they.
Will Forte is not like that.
Yeah.
Go back and watch him.
He nails everything.
He is so intense when he is in character. That's it. He's a crazy person, and he does not break. It's insane to watch some of the shit he does, and it just keeps it together.
I love Bill Hader too.
He was part of that cast.
Yeah,
Andy Samberg, Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph. Yeah. This is the cast to me. There's like a 3-year period where it's just like all these are all outstanding performers, all of them. Anyway, we take a look at this show and we rate it now from the characters. We're still going to hold on to this. 1 out of 7 is the scale taken from the program from the 1990s, affectionately and accurately known as Wings. 1 to 7 is the scale, 1 being the worst character from Wings, and that's Roy Biggins. And number 7, that's the best score you're going to get, and that's the character of Brian Hackett. Captain Philip Restisher, I turn to you. How do you rate the pilot episode of Saturday Night Live?
After 21 seasons of watching horrible pilots, when I watched this pilot, I know what it became. I know what I've seen.
It's a weird filter to have to put it through.
It's a weird filter, right? But I focused in
Yeah.
on just watching this. I went back to 1975 in my mind. And if I went back there in 75, I didn't know about Will Ferrell. I didn't know about all these great people that came out of there.
All the great stuff yet to come.
George Clooney was not funny.
Not great.
That singer she was not a good mix for what the show was about.
I don't think so. I liked her. I liked the song, but it may not have been the right thing.
No. Billy Preston, giving it to you. The Muppet thing, it went on forever.
I don't think it did, but it felt like it.
It felt like it was.
Yeah.
It was the long. I felt like that was the longest skit I've ever watched
it was.
on Saturday Night Live.
Look, check out Hanukkah Harry, and then you'll stab your eyes out.
I know the talent these people became. I know the talent they were at the time. I respectfully give a Jane Curtin bump because I had a boner for her. I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was not impressed. I know what's there, but I mean, as watching the pilot and not seeing everything else, there's only like 2 skits I really thought were really good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And George Clooney really ruined it for me. And you know, if I'm saying Billy Preston was good and I liked him, that's not saying much.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, I accept your score and honor your score. As for me, no one asked. I will say it's tough to separate what you know it's become and what it's. I mean, this is a legendary piece of television. Going back and thinking about its roots and trying to separate and just look at the pilot itself, I watch it and I get the feeling of like in the 90s tried to replicate this, but in the 80s when you watched MTV, there was nothing there. There was a person standing in front of a fake brick wall talking about music videos. You felt that you were watching something someone was doing in a garage, something cool that maybe you and a handful of people knew about. And if you found someone at school that could talk about the new, music video on MTV, like that's rad. That's really cool.
Nobody says rad anymore.
Well, they did in the 80s. That's how I felt about this show. They didn't know what they were doing. They had this time slot. They tried to fill it with performers, musical guests, a variety of things. I think at its core, it was a variety show more than was a comedy show. Billy Preston was good. High energy, funky.
Go check out the skin suit.
The skin suit, apparently. That's terrifying to me. Some of the sketches were not great. Maybe a lot of them were not great. I think that is something that is true today.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, for every one sketch that's great, you probably have 3 that aren't. But this is the start of something big, something new. It's not a perfect episode by any means, but it is very good. I enjoyed it. I'm glad to see where it all came from. All that said, I'm only going 1 higher than you. This is a 5. Okay. Right. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool to see where this show came from, having never seen it before. I actually owned the DVD set of this. I got, I think, from Mega Replay for like $7, the entire first season. And I'm proud to own it. I'm proud to watch it. And with that, we close the book on Saturday Night Live. And we will never speak of that show again.
Unlikely. We probably will.
We probably will. But here's a little something. Oh, actually, join us next time, won't you please, when you watch the pilot episode of RUGRATS. Here's a little something to wet your whistle. the cartoon misadventures of four babies and their snotty older cousin as they face the things in life they do not understand. You can find the entire episode of Rugrats by subscribing to Couch Pilots and SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app of choice, and then simply click on one of our classically blue links in our show notes, or download the app for Daily Motion and check out all the commotion.
Let me just remind everybody that this is the Pilots Challenge. How we are ranking this head-to-head battle, this V, VS, or Versus, however you want us to do it,
Right.
is downloads for those episodes.
Yeah.
So it's really important that if you like Couch Pilots and you liked if you think this was a great pilot, or you like Captain Black better than me,
Download. Tell your friends. Contact the show.
Tell your friends. This is our season to
battle it out for supremacy, right?
Yeah, and to try to get, we're watching some mainstream stuff that people have heard about, so maybe it will help grab some listeners, and they'll hear our banter, and they'll continue to walk with us as we travel.
I walk with you. Yes,
and also with you.
I agree with that. If you download, if you tell your friends to download, if you contact us, we're calculating all of that into the final number at the end of the season to see who was more successful in their picks.
Right.
I strongly suspect it'll be me.
You think so?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, you and Matt both kind of dissed on me.
We dissed you, and now it's your turn to dismiss us.
I would never dismiss you guys.
Contact us, please, at couchpilotspodcast.com. We have links for our email, our Facebook, our Twitter. We also have a phone number. It's 910-PILOTS-1, 910-745-6871. And if you like us very much, go to Patreon, look us up, and give us money every month. We just drained our Patreon account, from all its funds so we could purchase some new equipment for the studio here.
Yeah.
Hopefully that burp sounded great.
It sounded terrific.
All right.
In my mind, it did.
That's very good.
Yeah, and you can check us out on Spotify. All the episodes are on. If you're just finding out about us, we've been doing this for over 200 episodes.
Yeah.
You might go look on iTunes, and you can probably find about 20 of them.
The website has them all.
The website has them all, and Spotify has them all.
CouchPilotspodcast.com. If there's a pilot that you're aware of, maybe we did it. Put it in the search engine. It'll pop right up. You can listen to it for free right there.
There is a pilot, a podcast in Australia, and they just did one that we did 2 seasons ago.
You're talking about the consumption.
We love those guys. We love them.
Failure to launch. And what was the show you showed us today? What was the show though?
Sin, Mr. Sin, or
Madam Sin.
Madam Sin.
Yes.
With
Robert
Betty
Wagner
Davis.
Yeah. Betty. Oh, and those eyes. Betty Davis eyes. Love them.
She's got Betty Davis eyes.
Do you have a message of positivity you'd like to leave everyone with today?
Everybody listen. In 2 days, it's going to be Christmas. Okay? It's not about the presents. It's not about how much you spend on each other.
Yes.
Okay? Right now, it's about being around people you love. It's about not having drama. It's not about Brexit.
No, it's not. It's not about. It was never about Brexit.
Right. Forget about the wildfires that are, within
consuming you.
Kilometers of your house.
Right. Kilometers.
That's what they measure it by.
Okay.
That just to me when she told me that was just really, that means really close.
Oh, you're talking about Australia kilometers. Okay.
Yeah. But no, this is a holiday season. It's not about consumerism. It's just about being around people you love. I'm on Christmas Day. I'm going to interrupt every one of my really close friends, and I'm going to call them right when they're probably spending time with their families.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just tell them how much I care about them and how much I love them.
Can't do it.
That's what you're supposed to do. And don't worry about if you could afford to buy somebody something big, expensive thing they want. It doesn't matter. Love yourself, love your family, and love those who love you. Ooh, that's good. Do you like that? For that, my ending. Love yourself, love your family, and love those who love you.
Yeah, I think that's good. Very good. I'll do you one better and say this pilot was the start of a very successful series, and it's always a smooth flight here on Couch Pilots. Thanks, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Are we supposed to hug each? This is where we hug each other, right?
Let me try to reach you.
What do you think they say to each other when they're whispering and stuff? Like, hey, are you getting high right now? Or,
Yeah, it's probably drug related to what the after party, because they have an after party.
yeah, and it lasts until the next day.
And they have like an after party.
Yeah.
So it's probably a lot of drug references.
Yeah, a lot of like, hey, are we gonna have sex? Question for you, real quick. You watched the J-Lo episode?
That's the newest one. I haven't seen it.
I want to hear what your thoughts afterwards. Good night, everybody.